Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm Amma Mama, and today I'm just going to be picking my March TBR. I added all of the new books that I got from Barnes & Noble this past week, or last week, into my TBR jar. And again, I've been really trying to work hard on reading books that I have already owned that I haven't read, and I've gone through quite a bit of them. I did add, again, those 14 new books recently, but I counted what I have left on my bookcase, a lot, including the new ones. I went ahead and included those in this as well. And right now I have 46 books that I have not read that I had owned, plus ones I just got. So 46 books that I am going to try to read the majority of, hopefully before I get any more books. But of course that may depend on how long it takes me to get through these and all of that. I'll do my update for oh wait, what month are we in? I'm wrong. This is my April TBR. We're in March, so I'll be doing my March wrap-up video next week. And I actually read more books than I had expected to, so that was fun. Anyways, so I don't know how many I'm going to pick ahead of time to put on this TBR. What I've been doing is, if I finish everything on my TBR, I just kind of pull something that maybe I'm in the mood for, or that I want to read. So I will say that this week, when I had finished everything that was on my March TBR, I thought that, in fairness, like, I would pull something from the TBR jar to read, just so that I didn't gravitate strictly to my new ones, which I figured I would do because some of the ones that I have left are not ones that I'm as excited about. And there are ones that I do want to read, but again, I've had them for so long that, other than like my Stephen King ones that I just hadn't gotten around to, some of them just kind of fell out of my mind, or I don't know, I just had lost that excitement about reading them. And so some of them, until I get into them, I don't even know if I really want to read them anymore. But so I went ahead and I pulled from the jar, and I had pulled Hell House, which is another book of it's another book of short stories about like true hauntings and stuff like that. And I had read one of these a couple months ago, maybe in January, and it was fine, but I was wanting to read like an actual story, not another like collection of, I don't know, little accounts. And so I'm going to add this to my April TBR just because I had already pulled it out of the jar. So that's why it was already out. So I have Hell House, and this is by Allison Rattle and Allison Vale. And I think this was one that had been my daughter's, that she had left here when she moved, and it was on my shelf. And so I thought maybe it would be interesting. And the cover was kind of, I don't know, kind of cool and creepy with the red. You can't really see them as well, but like they're, you know, like the balls are in the cover, so they look like eyeballs, but I don't know if that translates well on the camera. So I'm going to read this. Hopefully, if I get into it and realize I just can't, or that I really don't have any desire to read it, I may DNF that one, because again, it's not one that was technically mine. It was just here and it was out, so I decided I would add it to my shelf. And technically, I still have like a box of my daughter's books sitting in my closet that I really have probably no intention of reading, at least not right now. Maybe someday, if I get done with mine and decide I'm bored, I'll look and see what she has. But she used to read, because a lot of them are books from when she was like younger, and so she read a lot of like vampire, goth kind of romance, horror, things like that. And so So I don't know what all is in the box. Like, I think she used to read like Vampire Diaries, and I had read Twilight with her when she was younger. So I'm not sure what's in the box, but we'll see. All right, so let me go ahead and pull out another book. All right, so Needful Things by Stephen King. And this one, it says, a wonderful new store has opened in the little town of Castle Rock, Maine. Whatever your heart's secret desire, sexual pleasure, wealth, power, or even more precious things, it's for sale. And even though every item has a nerve-shattering price, the owner is always ready to make a bargain. In this chilling novel by one of the most potent imaginations of our time, evil is on a shopping spree to scare you witless. And this, if I'm remembering correctly, they actually referenced, King referenced this story, I think, in the Dark Tower series. And so, again, I've had this one, and honestly, I've had this one for so long that I couldn't remember 100% if I had already read it or not. And so as I start reading it, if I remember enough of it that I'm like, oh yeah, I read this, I may or may not read it for a second time, because I think I've had this since I was in high school. So it is possible that I've read it and I just don't remember. And if that's the case, I'll decide whether or not it's, I feel like doing a reread of it or not. But Needful Things. So I'm not hating this, but it's another really fat book. So we'll see. I would say we'll see. Like, maybe I will, maybe I won't read them, but I really try to read what's on my TBR. But sometimes if they're ones I haven't really wanted to read all that much, or I'm not super excited about at the moment, I just read them slower. Okay, then I have The Talesman, also by Stephen King. The Talesman, also by Stephen King. My books have gotten real dusty down here. This one I know I have not read. Let's see. Jack Sawyer, 12 years old, is about to begin the most fantastic journey, an exalting, terrifying quest for the Talesman. For only the Talesman can save Jack's dying mother and defeat the enemy who is out to destroy them both. But to reach his goal, Jack must make his way not only across the breadth of the United States, but through the wondrous and menacing territories as well. The territories lie as firmly in the imagination as Atlantis or Oz. They are as real as every reader's own vision of that parallel world evoked in the mind's mysterious eye. In the territories, Jack finds a world little removed from the Earth's own dark ages. Though the air is so sweet and clear, a man can smell a radish being pulled from the ground a mile away. A life can be snuffed out instantly in the continuing struggle between good and evil. And Jack discovers twinners, reflection of people he knows on Earth, most notably the dying Queen Laura, the twinner of Jack's own imperiled mother. But only a few can flip from one world to the other. Jack's late father could, the malevolent Morgan Sloat can, and so will Jack himself. As Jack makes his way westward towards the redemptive Talesman, a dual array of heart-stopping encounters challenges him at every stop. From a terrifying period when he's held captive in an Indiana home for wayward boys that's run by a sadistic religious fanatic, to a sudden and murderous attacks by enemies of the Queen Laura and the territories. Stephen King and Peter Straub have combined their talents to create an unforgettable epic of fantasy, adventure, and resounding triumph. So this is Stephen King and Peter Straub. And so this sounds like it'll be really good. But again, it's a really huge book. So far, other than like the Hell House short stories, these are both really, really fat books. So if I get more like this, I might limit it to only like 5 books. And then if I finish them in April, like I'll add to it. But let me see what else I get. And so far I haven't picked any of the new ones. All right. Oh, yep. Another Stephen King. I told you I've got lots. So now we have All right, so the next one is The Tommyknockers, also by Stephen King. Also another pretty hefty book. So, The Tommyknockers, it says it begins with nothing more frightening than a nursery rhyme. Yet in Stephen King's hands, it becomes an unforgettable parable of dread, a threat from an unimaginable darkness that drags the practical inhabitants of a New England village into a hell worse than their own most horrible nightmares, and yours. It begins with a writer named Roberta Anderson looking for firewood in the forest that stretches behind her house. Bobby stumbles over 3 inches of metal, which unusually heavy spring runoff is left sticking out of the soil. A logger's beer can, she thinks at first, but the metal was as solid as Mother Rock. It begins with Bobby's discovery of the ship in the earth, a ship buried for millions of years, but still vibrating faintly, still humming with some sort of life, faint, weak, but still better left alone. Bobby then begins to dig, tentatively at first, then compulsively, and is joined by her old friend and one-time lover, Jim Gardner. Aided by a weirdly advanced technology, their excavation proceeds apace. As they uncover more and more of the artifact, both familiar and so unbelievable it's almost beyond comprehension, the inhabitants of Haven start to change. There's the new hot water heater in Bobby's basement, a hot water heater that apparently runs on flashlight batteries. The vengeful housewife who learns of her husband's affair from a picture of Jesus on top of her TV, a picture that begins to talk. Not to mention the 10-year-old magician who makes his little brother disappear for real. The townspeople of Haven are being welded into one organic, homicidal, fearsomely brilliant entity and a fatal thrall to the Tommyknockers. In this riveting, nightmarish story, Stephen King has given us his tautest, most terrifying novel to date. And the next time someone raps at your door, you may want to keep the chain on. It just might be the Tommyknocker man. Let me just see. This book, let's see. This book was copywritten back in 1987. So pretty old, but again, also pretty fat. So let me see what I get next, but I may stop at just one more book because these are all pretty hefty. And the thing is that for me, sometimes Stephen King are just like quick fun reads, and sometimes they stress me out a little bit, and I'm not sure about these ones. So I don't want to have too many horror, and right now I've got a lot. Okay, so the next one is actually on my Kindle, and this is The Practice House. First off, I always say it's on my Kindle. I don't own a Kindle. I just have the Kindle app that I use on either my iPad or my iPhone. So the next book that I have is The Practice House by Laura McNeil. I'm not even sure why I have this book. or when I got this book, or why I got this book. It tells me I got this book on March 3rd of 2017. So it's possible it's something that maybe my daughter had got and had read. I'm not sure, but it says 19-year-old Aldine McKenna is stuck at home with her sister and aunt in a Scottish village in 1929 when 2 Mormon missionaries ring the doorbell. Aldine's sister converts and moves to America to marry, and Aldine follows, hoping to find the life she's meant to lead and the person she's meant to love. In New York, Aldine, I don't know if this is Aldine or Aldine, but Aldine answers an ad soliciting a teacher for a one-room schoolhouse in a place she can't possibly imagine, drought-stricken Kansas. She arrives as farms on the Great Plains have begun to fail and schools are going bankrupt, unable to pay or house new teachers. With no money and too much pride to turn back, she lives uneasily with the family of Ansel Price, the charming, optimistic man who placed the ad, and his family responds to her with kind curiosity, suspicion, and most dangerously, love. Just as she's settling into her new life, a storm forces unspoken thoughts to the surface that will forever alter the course of their lives. Laura McNeil's novel is a sweeping and timeless love story about leaving and finding home. So, I don't know. Hopefully it's good. So that will be on my April TBR as well. I think I'm gonna stop there. I think I will probably read more than this. I mean, if I keep up with like how I've been reading, but it's also honestly going to depend on how these books are and my anxiety level, especially while I'm reading the Stephen King ones, because again, sometimes I just find them highly entertaining and I'm just fine. Other times they just stress me out because I start like scaring myself with them and getting anxiety. So we will see how it goes, but they're big enough books, long enough that I feel comfortable stopping at 5. I think the Practice House on my iPad, that Kindle edition, I think it said it was 400 and some pages. So that one's also like a decent length book. So we're going to stop there for the month of April and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, if I finish all of these, I'll just continue drawing maybe one book at a time from my TBR jar, and then I'll just add it to my weekly updates. I hope you all have a great Easter, and if you celebrate Easter, and otherwise have a great week and stay safe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.